Imagine stepping into your garden and being greeted by a vibrant tapestry of colors, blues, pinks, yellows, and whites, all dancing in the summer breeze. These aren't just any flowers, they're wildflowers, bringing a burst of natural beauty and ecological harmony to your outdoor space. But how do you achieve this stunning display without hours of labor or a green thumb? Today, we're diving into the art of growing wildflowers. Whether you have a sprawling border, a patch of lawn, or just a humble pot, I'll show you how to make your garden come alive with color all summer long. Growing wildflowers is a rewarding way to fill your garden with a riot of colors and a haven for wildlife. But before you start, it's essential to understand the different types of wildflowers and their growing habits. Wildflowers can be annuals, biennials, or perennials, and each type requires a slightly different approach. Annuals will give you a stunning display in their first year but need to be replanted annually. Biennials take 2 years to bloom, while perennials will return year after year, though they may take longer to establish. When choosing your wildflower seeds, it's important to consider your local climate and soil conditions. Native wildflowers are always a great choice as they're adapted to thrive in your area. Whether you're planting in borders, pots, or creating a wildflower meadow, the key is to prepare your soil properly. Clear the area of weeds, and if you're planting in existing grass, consider introducing yellow rattle, a semi-parasitic plant that helps control aggressive grasses, giving your wildflowers the space they need to flourish. One common mistake is over-sowing seeds, which can lead to overcrowded plants competing for resources. Instead, follow the seed packet instructions carefully to ensure each plant has enough room to grow. Also, be mindful of the flower mix you're planting. Combining annuals, biennials, and perennials can give you a longer season of bloom, but be aware that each type will emerge and flower at different times. Once your wildflowers are established, the maintenance is minimal. Occasional weeding and deadheading will keep your garden looking its best. And don't forget to enjoy the wildlife your flowers attract. From bees and butterflies to birds and other pollinators, your garden will become a bustling hub of life. Wildflowers have a way of transforming any outdoor space into a vibrant, living canvas, and the best part, you don't need to be an expert gardener to make this magic happen. Whether you dream of a border bursting with blooms, a lawn sprinkled with nature's confetti, or even just a pot or container overflowing with wildflower beauty, today's video will guide you through every step. I'm Alexandra from the Middle-Sized Garden, and together with wildflower expert Charlotte Den from Kent Wildflower Seeds, we'll uncover the secrets to growing wildflowers that will keep your garden blooming all summer long. Now, you might think wildflowers are just about letting nature take its course, but there's a bit more to it than that. This isn't about rewilding your lawn or simply letting the grass grow taller. We're talking about thoughtfully incorporating wildflowers into your garden design, whether it's in pots, borders, or a full meadow, and making sure they're the right native species for your area. You see, native wildflowers are the stars of the show, bringing beauty and ecological benefits to your garden, no matter where you are in the world. This year, I decided to try something different and turned my vegetable beds into wildflower havens. And what a journey it's been! I've experimented with different seed mixes in various borders, and I've learned a few things along the way, some the hard way. For example, did you know that not all wildflower mixes are created equal? Some are annuals that bloom and die within a year, while others are perennials that take their time but reward you with blooms year after year. Understanding this distinction is crucial to planning a garden that keeps on giving. One of the mistakes I made was not paying enough attention to the type of seeds I was using. In one border, I planted a mix that included perennials, annuals, and biennials. It took about 6 weeks for the first flowers to appear, but some of these plants will continue to bloom next year. In contrast, another border, filled with a mix of annuals, burst into color quickly, but will need to be replanted next year. It's a balancing act, but with the right knowledge, you can create a garden that blooms continuously, year after year. Another key lesson. Follow the instructions. It sounds simple, but I learned the hard way that spreading too many seeds can lead to overcrowding, where the more vigorous plants overshadow the delicate ones, leaving you with less variety and color. When planting wildflowers, it's crucial to give each plant the space it needs to thrive. But what about planting wildflowers in pots or containers? This is where you can get really creative. Think of your pots as mini gardens, each one a little ecosystem of its own. Whether you're looking to add height with something like wild carrot or attract seed-feeding birds with species like clovers, the possibilities are endless. And if you're working with limited space, like a balcony or a small patio, pots can bring the beauty of wildflowers right to your doorstep. When it comes to caring for your wildflower garden, remember that what we often consider weeds, like dandelions, can actually be valuable for wildlife. However, if you prefer a certain aesthetic, don't hesitate to weed out plants you don't want. It's all about creating a garden that brings you joy, whether that means a wild, untamed look or a more curated design. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of planting wildflowers. The first step is selecting the right seeds for your garden. As we mentioned earlier, native species are your best bet. They're adapted to your local climate and soil, making them easier to grow and more beneficial to local wildlife. If you're unsure which wildflowers are native to your area, a quick search online or a visit to a local garden center can provide some guidance. Many seed companies even offer region-specific mixes that take the guesswork out of the equation. Once you have your seeds, it's time to prepare the soil. Wildflowers aren't particularly fussy, but they do prefer well-drained soil. If your soil is heavy or clay-like, consider mixing in some sand or compost to improve drainage. The goal is to create a loose, crumbly texture that allows seeds to make good contact with the soil, encouraging germination. Before you start sowing, clear the area of weeds and grass. This might seem like an unnecessary step, especially if you're planning to plant a wildflower meadow, but trust me, it's worth it. Removing competition from aggressive grasses and weeds gives your wildflowers the best chance to establish themselves. You can do this by digging up the top layer of soil or using a weed suppressant to clear the area. Finally, let's talk about creating a wildflower meadow, one of the most rewarding projects you can undertake. Whether you have a large space or just a small lawn, the key is to manage the grass. Grass can be aggressive, forming a dense mat that makes it hard for wildflower seeds to take root. By introducing yellow rattle, a semi-parasitic plant that weakens grass, you can give your wildflowers the space they need to thrive. In the end, growing wildflowers is about more than just adding color to your garden. It's about creating a space that's alive with nature, where every bloom tells a story and every insect has a role to play. So, whether you're planting in a border, a pot, or a meadow, remember to take your time, follow the steps, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Your garden will thank you with a summer full of vibrant, lasting beauty.